Welcome to the Awesome Pod Mix. You are listening to Abby. The idea behind this podcast was to talk about how certain movies and TV shows made me feel when I watched them for the very first time. A reputed filmmaker once said, when a piece of art invokes a similar feeling amidst a large audience, it's the triumph of the filmmaker. That's the magic of cinema. I love the magic of cinema. Today, I'll be discussing the sixth episode of Marvel Studios WandaVision. It's Marvel's first offering in Phase 4. Whether Marvel creates movies or TV shows, they are all cinematic. The sixth episode begins with Wanda's much lesser cheerful voice saying, previously on WandaVision. We see the events of Age of Ultron wherein Pietro dies. This episode pays tribute to the 90s TV sitcom Malcolm in the Middle. The episode's title is All New Halloween Spooktacular. Halloween is a time to unleash your hidden personalities. And this episode exactly peels the layers of all pivotal characters. Most of the Halloween costumes are distinctly comic accurate. Billy asks if his mother is dressed as Red Riding Hood. She says she's a Sokovian fortune teller, but it's actually foreshadowing the Scarlet Witch. The irony here is that Wanda is dressed as a fortune teller and she can't even remember how she created this life for her. As per her brother Pietro, Wanda has probably suppressed a lot of trauma. She probably has. Vision is set to go out on the neighborhood watch. Wanda is like, that's not what I planned. Vision is upset with Wanda, but he still loves her. Billy is worried about the growing distance between his parents. Vision kisses Wanda and tells her to be good. Outside the hex, the drone engulfed in Wanda's magic is brought in. Monica confronts the acting director Hayward for antagonizing Wanda. Hayward retorts and calls Monica an impediment to the mission. According to Hayward, Monica is constantly advocating on behalf of superpowered individuals. He even brings up her history with Carol Danvers. He says that people who are snapped out of existence still have the luxury of optimism. Excuse me, do you think they had a choice? Are you insane? You think Thanos was like, ma'am, would you please be so kind as to be snapped away? Hayward, don't you dare blame them. No one wanted to move on during those 5 years. Hayward's attack turns personal when he says, and I quote, maybe it's a good thing you weren't here when your mother died because you clearly don't have the stomach for this job. Sweet mother of God, I would have punched this guy in his stupid face. I can't believe Monica took all that nonsense without flinching. He asks the SWORD agents to escort them off the SWORD base. Outside the base, Jimmy and Monica fight off the agents. But nobody told Darcy the plan. Honestly, Jimmy Woo fighting off those SWORD agents was a pleasant surprise. I know he's in the FBI, but watching a character with hilarious quirks beat the crap out of those agents, let's just say, I did not see that coming. Inside Wanda's hex, her kids are creating ruckus with their uncle Pietro. Pietro addresses them as demon spawn and encourages them to unleash hell. Wanda doesn't trust her brother 100%, and neither do I. She even questions why he looks different. Pietro never gives a straight answer. He manipulates and diverts the conversation, throwing questions at Wanda, making her question her own sanity. Classic manipulation and gaslighting behavior. The contradictions just don't end there. There's a mention of Top Gun with the dialogue, I feel the need for speed, and Kick-Ass, which is a 2010 movie that stars Aaron Taylor Johnson and Evan Peters together. Both have played a version of Quicksilver in different Marvel movies. Herb is informed about Pietro's shenanigans in his earpiece even before they happen. Wanda says Vision could help Herb with the neighborhood watch. Herb reveals that Vision is off duty today. Vision is walking around Westview observing. He spots a couple stuck in a loop putting up Halloween decorations. Cut to commercial. Yo Magic, the snack for survivors. I think magic is the only thing keeping her alive because she is emotionally drained at this point. Pietro thinks he was shot like a chump in the streets of Sokovia in the movie Age of Ultron for no reason at all. I'm sorry, but Pietro sacrificed himself to save Hawkeye and a Sokovian kid. Don't you dare ridicule and belittle his sacrifice, you fraudulent Pietro. Hawkeye even honored Pietro by naming his youngest son Nathaniel Pietro Barton. The Incredibles and Parents Trap are playing in the town theater. Tommy gets his super speed powers. Wanda warns her kids not to go past Ellis Avenue. Darcy hacks into Hayward's computer. We learn Hayward is tracking the DK signature of Vision. People at the edge of the town are barely moving. Vision conjures his superhero outfit and flies upward to survey Westview from a top angle. He spots a car at the edge of the town and flies toward it. It's the Ellis Avenue. In that car, Agnes is at the wheel sporting a Wicked Witch costume. Vision inquires where she's headed. She says town square scare. Got lost, took a wrong turn. I felt like she was saying she took a wrong turn in life and she got lost. Catherine Hahn's performance here is outstanding. Vision awakens Agnes and she says, "You're one of the Avengers. You're Vision. Are you here to help us?" He is Vision. He does want to help, but he doesn't know what's an Avenger. And she asks, "Why don't you know? Am I dead?" Vision says, "Why would you say that?" And Agnes says, "Because you are." Vision asks, "I am what?" Vision doesn't understand because he's a synthezoid. Agnes spells it out for him. Dead, dead, dead. Vision's intentions are to reach those outside Westview and make sense of their situation. Agnes says, "How? No one can leave. Wanda won't let us even think about it." Vision tries to calm the maniacally laughing Agnes down, and when that doesn't work, he uses his magic. Outside the hex, we learn that Monica's cells are changing on a molecular level, and she shouldn't go inside Wanda's hex again. I believe it will be Monica's origin story toward becoming the superhero Photon or Spectrum. The show draws parallels between Monica and Wanda's trauma and how each character copes with grief differently. Monica wants to help Wanda despite her own grief. Darcy is not finished hacking into Hayward's files, so she wants to stick around. Monica and Jimmy leave to set up Monica's re-entry inside the hex. Inside Wanda's hex, Pietro compliments Wanda for pulling the ethical considerations of this scenario very well. She always has been the empathetic twin. Mom and Dad would be proud. Pietro wants to know how she pulled it off. He assures Wanda that her secret is safe with him. Wanda reveals she doesn't know how she did any of this. She says, "I only remember feeling completely alone, empty, endless nothingness." I totally relate to Wanda's grief. When Wanda turns, she sees Pietro sitting right next to her as a corpse with bullet holes. Wanda reacts scared. Pietro asks if she's okay. She says she's fine. Outside the hex, Darcy finds Project Cataract and forwards the files to Jimmy. Cataract is obstruction of vision. Darcy and Hayward spot Vision's decay signature getting close to the perimeter. This makes Darcy rush out to Vision's aid. Vision tries to step out of the hex, but disintegrates piece by piece back to the hex. Hayward's men cuff Darcy to the grill of the Jeep. Darcy begs Hayward's men to help Vision. Inside the hex, Billy stops in his tracks and senses that Vision is in trouble. He rushes to Wanda and informs her, "You know that Pietro is a fraud when he says it's not like your dead husband could die twice. Firstly, he did die twice. This is the third time it's happening all over again. So get your facts right and shut your stupid face, you fraudulent Pietro." Wanda blasts Pietro off. He has been acting weird since the moment he arrived at Wanda's house. Wanda extends the hex to save Vision. Monica notices that the hex is moving toward their direction. She speeds up to get away. Hayward leaves Darcy handcuffed to the Jeep and rushes away. Darcy tries to get the cuffs off of her but fails. Wanda turns SWAT agents into clowns. Even Hayward escapes despite the touch-and-go situation. The episode ends with a close-up of Wanda's eyes as she opens them and the chaotic red lights in her eyes fade away. I absolutely love this episode. So Vision can't leave the hex. He's alive because of the hex. But why? You can listen to the Awesome Pod Mix and subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. If you like what I'm doing, I'll soon be launching the Awesome Pod Mix page on Patreon, and you can support me there. Thanks for listening.